This Russian propagandist says that the Wagnerians cruelly execute the peaceful inhabitants of Ukraine, who are suspected of cooperating with the AFU. And he supports such executions. He says that even though it is inhumane, but since there is a war going on, which they themselves started, it should be done this way. 1 year ago, these same people were shouting from every source that Bucha is a fake and Russian soldiers could not have done such a thing. Exactly 1 year has passed. And now the same official Russian propaganda no longer denies the massacre of civilians, but justifies it. If in February 2022 Putin and his regime were compared to the Third Reich, now it has turned into Rwanda in 1994. Brutal executions, cutting off heads, mocking human remains, and this kind of Thousand Hills radio on TV, where they explicitly explain that Ukrainians are not human, and it is right and good to kill them. Yesterday, the Russian human rights project Gulagu.net released on video evidence of war crimes committed by the mercenaries of the Wagner group in Ukraine. The crimes committed by themselves and their units during the battles for the cities of Soledar and Bakhmut of the Donetsk region. By video link tell two former commanders of the assault departments of the Wagner group, both were pardoned personally by Putin. They were recruited into Wagner by the head of the company, Prigozhin, in late August and early September 2022. One of them had spent about 30 years in prison, but in the Wagner unit was given a commanding position as the most senior. Among other things, the released prisoners recount details of the shooting of more than 20 Ukrainian children and teenagers over the age of 15 in the Donetsk region just because they were potential AFU fighters. They tell of the sweeping of residential buildings and basements with the killing of all residents who remain inside, including children. They tell how, on orders from higher commanders, they blew up with grenades and set fire to a pit with about 60 bodies of wounded and captured Ukrainians and other Wagners. Describing the shooting by their group of many Russian military deserters, those who decided to leave the war and refused to follow the orders of their commanders. Answering the host's questions, they say that the Wagnerian Nushin, who was returned from captivity, was really killed with a sledgehammer. And many of the zinc coffins that wives and mothers in Russia receive are actually empty. Also, both former commanders point to the huge number of dead Wagnerians in the attacks on Soledar and Bakhmut. Prigozhin himself gave criminal orders for shootings and killings, and endorsed terrorist methods and brutality. What is interesting is that they are both in Russia, 100% they are not under any influence of the secret services of different countries. They gave detailed and consistent video and audio testimonies for a week, notes the head of the Gulagu.net resource. It's noteworthy that one of them, having confessed to many war crimes and murders and acknowledged the unlawful nature of the Russian aggression, at the end of his conversation says that he would like to continue to participate in the war, but within the Russian armed forces. All of this, alas, is not a sensation at all, but only a confirmation of the evil that has come from the east of the Ukrainian border, and that the Ukrainians have no choice but to win, clear their territory, and build a wall along the border.